It's Medi.
We don't have fun here, Medic.
That's true.
We're professionals. We're professional video game commentators that talk about fictional characters for a living.
And we can't have fun.
Can't have fun.
Only
Fun is
serious.
forbidden. Only seriousness. This is serious.
Yeah.
Serious business.
Serious Snape.
Time to talk about a cat that gets on top of a rat and murders everyone.
That is really, crazy.
Welcome everyone to day 2 of week 3. We're about to be jumping into the draft, which means that we're here live from the studios with our wonderful audience, but we need to listen to some smooth, sultry music.
That's the music listening out of the way.
Ooh, some BDS fans in the audience today. Let's have a look what they can bring today. They did have a tough loss against Misfits yesterday. Only find themselves with a single win so far in summer. And they will start by removing the cat. Cat on the hat, the cat in the hat. Isn't that the famous book?
Dr. Seuss.
Yes.
Volleyball and center taken away by Excel. Obviously listening to Trouble's segment 4. We got into the game. There's Gangplank. I do like the Gangplank ban. I think he is in a position where he is first pick worthy, even if you can look for something like a KL into him to try and scale alongside. There's the Seraphine as well, another first pick worthy champ on 12-12.
What else are they going to remove now? There are just so many strong champions in the current meta.
Good look to jungle. Wukong, yeah.
Lucian.
I think Lucian, after the 12-12 nerfs, I think he's fallen a little bit out of favor. I think he can still be strong, but the reduced damage on his Q later in the game, I think, does hurt him a little bit. Instead, Callista taken away by Team BDS.
I was going to say, I think this is the only other one you need to be cautious of. In Patrick's hands, he has been a very effective Callista so far this split. Taking that off him, giving him that early game agency definitely makes sense. So what are they going to look to first pick? Wukong is up and available. Marcoon does currently have 3 games on it. Is that something that they care about? Looks like that it will be.
I was really hoping for Bel'Veth. I don't think she's first pick worthy, but with Wukong on the cards, I think it makes a little bit more sense to lock in the Monkey King.
Wouldn't be surprised if we saw something like a Viego answer here. Depends how meta BDS want to approach this matchup against Excel. Remember that when we think about Excel, they are very well known for their early game aggression. Yesterday, their early game was somewhat routed by Rogue. They were limited in what they could do, and they found themselves falling behind. They did bounce back, and then they lost it again. Bit of an all-over-the-place game yesterday for Excel. Seems like for now, they're going to try and keep things simple. Not much of their draft has been indicated. With the Ezreal locked in for Xmati, we know that he is pretty confident on the champion. So far 2 games this split, and there's the Viego that we discussed earlier as well. So comfort picks coming out across the board for BDS. Range is something that they do have at their disposal. So what direction they go. Of course, both comps right now, a lot of flexibility in the direction they want to commit to. Excel, will we see more early game aggression? Something like Ahri is still up and available, but we do know that Nuclearin is prepared to play the Lissandra into it, so maybe Excel don't want to risk it. We talked about the Lucian. Apparently Excel's staying still strong.
Still strong. And the bot lane does still give you power. You can definitely dominate the laning phase, but thought the nerfs might have put him down a peg or 2. Instead, Excel very happy to get a controlling 2v2 down towards that bottom side. Ezreal Karma will be able to kind of match the push, but really can't match the damage potential from Lucian Nami.
With the Gnar being removed, BDS could be looking at an Ornn blind. Yet to see Agressivo play the Ornn this split, but again, range has been a big talking point, at least during our cast from yesterday. And you can see that BDS slowly but surely starting to build a pretty long range comp with Karma and Ezreal. They could go for something like a Zoe, and if they do go for that, things like Ornn are problematic for them. Engage against long range comps is kind of what you want to try and avoid. So if they do remove the Gnar, maybe they ban away the Gwen. It does suggest to me that they are thinking about that type of frontline tank up in the top lane.
You can see Excel as well, realizing there's a lot of poke already coming out of BDS. They'll take away the Corki. There's the Gwen. Betty, you've been actually very on point with predictions so far. Well, but the thing is, it's been on point with predictions that with 12-12, I really expected to see less. So like Viego was kind of gutted with his you can no longer channel Spectral more and then go invisible immediately with his Harrowed Path. Lucian's base damage, base AD ratio, and his base damage on his Q is taken away.
Pros, they're predictable and they're slow to change.
There's the Ornn ban.
Yep, so XL have the same read that I do. Looks like that. Ooh, they're going to go for a different tank. Okay, so it will just be the Sejuani. The debate around Sejuani top, of course, has been she's only really good into tanks.
Yep.
But what I will say is she is still pretty good in Gauge, and I think that you do need some when you're running Karma Ezreal bot lane. I think that she can still fulfill the same role that Ornn does, just not quite as effectively.
I think you go with Lissandra Kayle here. If you're XL, gives you some strong scaling from the top side of the map. You could still look to be more aggressive in the early game. Although the Sejuani can close the gap up towards that top side, something like a Kayle will give you a scaling advantage as the game goes on. For the moment, though, XL will just take the Lissandra themselves. LRV was still a possibility, obviously not locked in. There is always the very, very faint possibility of a Wukong flex to jungle, but instead it's just the tank. Once again in the top lane, I do feel XL's damage profile is a little bit lacking here, BDS.
Ooh, that's a Taliyah mid.
Okay.
Okay,
First Taliyah of the LEC.
Which is shocking, truth be told. I know that she did get nerfed prior to the LEC starting, but I really expected her to be way more prevalent in jungle in particular.
Yeah.
I'm skeptical about this Sion pick. You know, we talked about how Sejuani is typically quite good into tanks. Maybe Finn knows something I don't, which wouldn't surprise me. And there's already a lot of things he knows about League of Legends that I don't. But yeah, on paper, I would expect Sejuani to be winning on this matchup, but I guess XL is saying we need more frontline. We need more ways to start fights. Right now, BDS have a lot of long-range poke. Taliyah, Ezreal, Karma, very obnoxious to get on top of. You have the Nami, you have Lissandra flank, you have Wukong, so XL definitely not short on engage, that's for sure. They've definitely gone for more of a teamfight comp, but I will agree with you, a lot of the damage will be coming from Patrick. He will be very reliant on melting whatever's in front of him, and it's a question of can Marcoon get onto the backline with his Wukong? Whereas I think BDS going for a little bit more of a scaling approach. Taliyah, Ezreal, very potent in the late game. Very, very difficult to deal with if they can get there. So we'll see how they leverage their range. Patience is important here for BDS. Let's see if they can weather the early game storm that we're expecting to come out from XL.
Has been XL's modus operandi so far in Summer. Get ahead in the early game, snowball the game, and take it out of your opponent's favor. BDS still struggling here in Summer season, but they have a lot of ways to win out this game. Can just look for the scaling, of course. Ezreal late game, very powerful. Taliyah, very powerful as well, but the roam potential out of that Taliyah is something we have to keep our eyes on as the game does go on. Let's jump in onto Summoner's Rift as XL make a beeline towards that bottom lane. I will say, because we haven't seen Taliyah at all in Summer here in the LEC, let's just remind people of what she does. Her Q is a threaded volley. She chucks out some rocks in front of her and does damage to anything that they are hit by. You have sort of areas on which you can throw out multiple rocks, and then when you've thrown out multiple rocks, that area becomes used for a while and you only throw out one rock with it. Then she has a knockback called Seismic Shove, and if she shoves someone through her last ability, her E, it actually stuns them now, which is the big thing.
All I heard was rock, 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 rock.
She's tough. She's tough, man. She's tough from an airbender. We'll see if Nuclear Wind has his eyes open this game or if he's really cosplaying tough.
All right, as you can see,
we're tough from airbender now. You can't see the champion portraits.
Yeah, so Taliyah, I think the most important thing to know about Taliyah is just the changes to her workaround. Yeah. In the past, you can see, well, you can't see, but whenever she uses a Q, there's normally workaround underneath her. Trust me, it's there. But now, when she uses her Q again on the workaround, she will fire a bigger rock that does more damage, is the TLDR.
Just a singular one instead of multiple ones.
Yes, exactly. Which will then clear the worked ground, and then you can go back to using the 5 thing. So typically, a lot of my experience with Taliyah recently is from her in the jungle, and the expectation is that early game, she's actually not that strong. In lane, that's slightly different, because your poke is not something you can really afford to just get hit by. And with the changes to work ground, it's actually much easier to play a mid than it used to be, because she can actually get pushed, and you can see that already happening in the mid lane matchup, whereas Nukeduck, relatively high cooldown on his Q, less of an issue for Nuclear Int. but she really scales well. Once she gets more cooldown reduction, she becomes very, very powerful because of the spammable Qs, and now her E being able to stun as well against champions with a lot of dashes. You look at Lucian, you look at Wukong. Yeah,
it's going to be difficult for XL to find an avenue to approach.
So I like the approach. Let's see how it pans out. I love seeing pros do something a little bit different.
It has been played a lot in major regions around the world. Mid-to-late, I think 18 games so far. As Patrick takes an Ignite here, Manny's going to flash forward, cleanse away from the Ignite. Patrick just survives. Went down below about 50 HP there. Syncroft trying to trade in onto Marcoon, steals away the big Razor Beak. Glacial Path coming out. Syncroft looking to turn this one around. Workaround going down. As that Seismic Shove has to be flashed by Nuke Duck. He escapes. Marcoon still trying to trade, but with a Dote coming in first, Mickey across the wall could flash. Will do it. Ignite taking it. Syncroft down. First blood to XL.
Well played by Mickey. I think it was Marcoon that even actually got that kill. Was it?
Red
yeah,
buff,
it
I believe.
was. Yeah, it was Marcoon that actually got that kill, so everything worked out nicely for XL. I like the aggression from BDS. Nuclear went hard prio, the bot lane had taken a very aggressive trade, they were getting advantages across the board. And so Syncroft wanted to leverage that. I think he made the right decision. The problem is, at the very end there, he overstays, Mickey's able to collapse, and they end up getting punished for it. So XL already find themselves with a 1k gold lead, and Nuke Duck is on the road. This is something we have been seeing a lot more from the Duck this split. Let's see if it can result in anything.
Was spotted on a ward and will be spotted on a second one here. Aggressivo's just going to give up a couple of minions to this tower. Doesn't have flash, of course, on the Sejuani, so if he's used that Q, the Arctic Assault, doesn't really have a way to escape a gank.
So I will say that, you know, I questioned the Sion pick a little bit into the Sejuani, but I also added the caveat that Finn probably knows something that I don't.
Yeah.
And as you can see in the laning phase, he's clearly dominating the lane for the time being. That Ignite is often something that can be used against champions like Ornn in particular to be able to gain those early advantages, but Finn doesn't seem to care. He's leveraging the strength of Sion to be able to push in this wave. We'll see how that matchup continues as the lane progresses, but for the time being, Finn has control as the bot lane reclaims a little bit of control. But props to BDS being able to find that 2v2 skirmish. Lucian Army is often a very difficult lane to be able to snatch prio away from, but it doesn't seem to have hurt them in the CS department. Same thing in the mid lane, as Nuke Duck finds himself with what looks to be like a 2-wave lead for the time being.
A lot of that coming off the fact that he was able to TP back to this wave. He's going unsealed Spellbook, where there's no TP on Nuclear Int, only has that cleanse to try and get away from some of the CC later in the game. Ring of Frost, of course, from Nuke Duck, the Frozen Tomb, the Aqua Prism. You can't cleanse Flash out of a knock-up, even though it's not the most effective use of your summoner spells. But for the moment, XL in a very strong position there. 1.2 thousand gold ahead, 5 minutes into the game. Although BDS have looked relatively active, it has come out in XL's favor. And you can see Mickey and Marcoon once again teaming up. They do this so often, especially here in summer. They've been very proactive on the map in the early portions of the game.
Syncroft deciding not to go for anything too crazy in the bot side river. Gonna reset, go back to his top. He has his Krugs up. You can see Marcoon kind of doing the same. Has his Raptors. Very little ganking opportunities right now. It's just a bit of trading in the bot side of the map. This huge wave is stacking up. This is typically where you would be concerned about a potential roam or dive. You can see Nuke Duck ticked over to level 6. If he hadn't had this much control of the wave and the shenanigans didn't happen earlier, Nuclear Int could have been close to that level 6 as well. You talked about the TP. If he was level 6, a play that you would have seen last season would have been level 6, push mid, roam bot, dive, stack wave, blah, 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 blah. But
I like the blah, blah, blah of that play. I think that's the important proviso to add on to the end of it.
Yeah, because then the next part that I skipped out was the fail the tower dive. Yeah. XL gets 4 kills. Yeah.
Game's over.
Game's over, yeah. Aggressive out. See, this is a little bit more of what I expected. So I guess on before first base, maybe Sion is able to get the push, and then after first base, that's when the Sejuani has a few more levels under her belt. That's when she starts to win out on the trades a little bit more. Curious when it comes to tank matchups. They're always like, they're a lot more volatile than a lot more people give credit for, I think, because often there are a lot of short trades, but they're just like, you kind of just see these trades and then they back off, right? And you can see in this situation, Finn just didn't hit him back, right? So Aggressivo just takes his HP, walks away, and Finn's gonna be like, okay, enjoy my HP. Don't care.
Yep, just tanks it up again. Can always heal up as well. Roar of the Slayer, his W has a passive. When you kill a minion, you gain more health out of it, which is why we do see Sirens becoming so tanky. But one of the reasons that Sejuani can trade in situations like this is you look for the passive stun. The auto attack's coming out. One more.
Passive stun.
We'll
Ult.
get the passive stun into the ult. Flashed. Oh, Aggressivo could have chased in there. Ignite going. Finn goes back in.
I think he's dead.
With the Ignite.
60?
I think he survives with 20 HP. 36. 36 HP.
Ooh, okay. Yeah,
That's big.
when I saw that, Aggressivo did everything right there, I feel. He I think he just went a little too early. I think he expected the shield to be procced earlier than it did.
I think he thought his ult would miss.
Maybe, because Finn did flash, yeah. And then Finn re-engaged with his ult, expecting Aggressivo to then dive him. So he thought, oh, I'll get the knock-up underneath the tower then hits. And
it did look like it was just on the edge of the ultimate range.
And then Aggressivo, because he hesitated, Finn almost died, and then, yeah, close exchange, tanks, but then no one dies.
But that's the power of Sejuani. That's the reason you can trade aggressively like that, is you have that Fury of the North, the passive, when you get 4 melee attacks on a target after Sejuani's hit them with a spell or an attack, you can then stun them, and then you proc that stun for damage.
Yeah, and the tech is you apply the passive and then you ult. Because if you apply the ult, I'm pretty sure you
The passive has an internal cooldown. So if you... The ult will always apply the passive.
Yes.
But if you've already applied the passive with the ult, you can't then reapply the passive after.
Yes, exactly. So he kind of min-maxed his combo there.
And it does percentage max HP, which is why it's so great for tanks.
Exactly, man.
We could have put that in a more concise bubble if we'd worked it.
But what? What? People think we speak professionally for a living or something? Let's have a look now. First Dragon did go down in favor of BDS. Reminder that in terms of stakes, this is a game that you kind of expect XL to win.
Yeah.
But if BDS can find a big win, like they need it. Often you sit there and think early on in the split, it's not that bad. But when you're losing all of your games, fun fact, it's not great.
Yeah, it's quite bad.
You do need to find some wins, even if you start with a struggling start to the split. Otherwise, you find yourself in a Schalke miracle run type of situation. And so with BDS only getting harder and harder opposition, their improvement may very well be felt, but they need to be able to secure these wins.
And we do see a trade here as well by BDS. They're not coming up to try and fight the Rift Herald. You saw Aggressivo step around and be like, hey, can we do anything here? Instead, they're trading a couple of lost minion waves for Patrick on the bottom side and a plate and a half for Xmadi and a Dote. You can see Xmadi with a tiny gold lead down towards that bottom side. But XL do still have that Rift Herald in pocket and will be able to get a couple of plates out of it. They have been using Rift Herald mid a lot, even just to get gold into Nuke Duck, because usually you don't take the full tower on that first Rift Herald charge if you use it mid. Let's see where Marcoon decides is the option of choice today.
Finn going to take away the Krugs, or at least some of them.
It's the Scion's camp. I've heard Baus say that a few times.
Yep. Yeah.
Doesn't matter if they're his Krugs or the enemy's Krugs, it's always his camp.
The rules are Krugs belong to top laners. Junglers have to request permission to be able to take them. The only one that is the junglers is the first clear. After that, they belong to the top laner. And the funniest part was Cadril agreed. Yep. And then he started asking Baus, could I please have the Krugs? And Baus often said no. Let's have a look at this. BDS rotating up towards mids. Nuke Duck should be safe though.
That's the power of the Glacial Path, yeah. You just walk your way away, or ice slide your way away,
Do you know all champion abilities?
I know all the meta ones. If you gave me like an obscure champion, I'd probably struggle a little bit.
Nami's passive.
Oh, that's not an ability, that's a passive.
Oh, so you just don't know them?
I don't usually know passive names.
Okay.
But I could name all of Nami's abilities.
Ready?
Yeah.
What's her E?
Tycaller's Blessing.
What's her Q?
Aqua Prison. Most people call it Bubble.
Bubble. What's Scion's ult?
Unstoppable Onslaught. As Xmadi trades down towards the bottom side. Patrick's going to use the cleanse early here. Two Shot Rush coming out as well. Flash and cleanse used by Patrick. Syncroft will not go any further forward. Her ult is called Tidal Wave, by the way.
And what? Oh, Marcoon. What's he just used, Medic?
That's the decoy across the wall into the Cyclone. Nuclear Int does still have Flash. Marcoon will counter Flash. Second Cyclone comes out. And Marcoon with his second kill of the game.
Well, pretty straightforward kill there for Marcoon. Patrick finds himself in a little bit of trouble, but he will just ult his way to safety. And XL find themselves another kill. Not really much to explain in that Nuclear Int kill. Just Nuclear Int. He walked into an area which he had warded, and he was like, I'm fine. And then Marcoon just all-ined him. The power of Wukong, the double ult, very difficult to get away from. And unfortunately for Nuclear Int, he doesn't have TP. So a lot of plates will just be lost. And XL will balloon their gold lead. Now they're looking for the dive.
Looking for damage onto Syncroft. Nothing really Syncroft can do in that situation. XL, 3 kills to the good now. You can see Marcoon snowballing away in terms of total gold, 1.7k ahead right now. And we wondered a little bit about the damage profile for XL, while Marcoon supplementing it well from the jungle.
Yeah, and it's one of the terrifying things about Wukong. Not only is he very tanky, he also just does a lot of damage. And yeah, the dive was very clean from XL. They continue to dominate here in the early game. This is more of the typical XL that we're used to, but they haven't really had to do anything too crazy. They punished BDS on an early invade. They've found some successful picks here in the mid lane, and just a good play overall from XL here in the early game.
Doing a really good job. It's kind of what we expect from XL as well. It's what they've been doing for the majority of summer. BDS still struggling a little bit through the early game, trying to find something on the map, but XL really aren't giving them too many opportunities. They have consistently been pressuring this bottom side, this bot lane. Patrick, no flash, no cleanse, remember, as Dote and Sinkoff are waiting here. Mickey has both, though, and he's going to be the one to face check. Mickey trying to get away. Oh, Halo Path not quite there. Spectral Maw going forward as well, as Mickey is low. Heartbreaker will be enough to get the kill as X-Mani actually secures it. Turn around, though, Heartbreaker away, and now Marcoon's on his way. Decimating Smash comes out, lands onto a Dote. Nuclear Vent coming down as well, but Marcoon uses the decoy to dodge away from the seismic shove. Second Decimating Smash used by Finn. Nukeduck looking for a re-engage. Who are you going for? That looked like it went through him. Just short, just shy of Nukeduck's back. And the Glacial Prism won't connect. Nukeduck still chasing forward. Frozen Tomb used. And Nukeduck with a final auto attack will let Finn get the kill. I guess even no flash here. Arctic Assault a possibility, but if he dived across the wall, he would just dive into Nukeduck's waiting arms. XL 6-1 up in this match.
Absolute decimation comes out from XL as they wipe 4 members off the board from BDS. Maybe it was 3, maybe I'm miscounting, but all I can tell you is that BDS find themselves in the base, while XL find themselves with more gold, a dragon, and a mid lane tower. Everything going in the favor of XL here in this early game.
And you can see BDS are just looking to force bot lane. They're like, we know Patrick doesn't have flash, he doesn't have cleanse, let's look for plays, and XL react to it. They use the mid prio they get to bring Nukeduck down, although looks like Nukeduck actually came down before even clearing out that wave. And even though the engage comes out from BDS and they do get this initial kill, the follow-up is all XL.
Yeah, they commit everything onto getting that kill onto Mickey, and at this point they realize, okay, we're in a bit of a sticky situation here. Once the TP arrives from Finn and Marcoon is able to get priority on the river, it just means that XL collapse first. You can see the damage comes through, and I'm surprised that they committed to this play as well. The ultimate there just misses as Nukeduck. What's crazy here is Nukeduck uses W, and remember that after you use Cleanse, the duration of CC is reduced. You basically get extra tenacity, so he waits for as long as he can before then using his ultimate to get as much value out of it as possible. The health pot gets procced by Nuclear Int, which means that the auto attack from Nukeduck isn't enough to get the kill. Fortunately though, Finn is there to be able to secure that final hit, allowing XL to secure themselves another kill.
XL now 3 of the top 4 in terms of total gold presented by Santander. Marcoon, Nukeduck, and Patrick sitting very pretty right now. BDS struggling to find a way back into this game. 4,000 gold in the hole now. It's definitely going to be a tricky one. XL just consistently showing us that their early games are something to be feared, even though they have struggled in a couple of their last matchups. And struggled yesterday, of course, against Mad Lions. No, that was G2. Who did XL play yesterday?
Rogue.
Rogue, that's the one. Thank you.
It's all good.
Been a long weekend already. We're only on game 1 of day 2.
Important to remember that BDS, I do think, have scaling options. The question is, can they get there? Marcoon going to use this Herald to continue pushing the game forward. I imagine it's going to be drop top lane. Question is, can he get out here?
He's caught with the permafrost. Aggressivo does have ult as well. Marcoon caught in the ult now. Spectral Maw, possibility, but on the backline, Maddie's just cold. Patrick takes him down. XL able to pinch the movement in. Tidal wave coming out as well. Should be called the Tsunami, I'll admit. But with the Aqua Prism following up, it looks like BDS are just going to retreat.
And another quick pick comes out from XL. And it's kind of been the story of their early game. They haven't really had to do a lot. They've just waited for BDS to make a play, and they've reacted and have consistently come out on top. They're looking for something else here.
Mickey doesn't have flash. Flash away by Adote. Marcoon trying to get into the back lane. There's the Cyclone. Nuclear Int will flash across the wall. Decoy just short. The re-engage with the Heartbreaker. Sinkoff looking for the damage, but you can't get onto Marcoon, who already has a Hex Drinker. Patrick stunned, cleanses away. Nukeduck's going to get one in the back of the fray, and XL now with the Rift Herald can look to push in this top lane. True Shot Barrage. It's not enough, guys. It's not enough. Marcoon way too healthy for that.
Marcoon not going to drop the Herald to secure the tower. Instead, he's going to use the Empowered Recall to get back to base. As XL walk away with, I believe that was 2 more kills. as they extend the lead ever further. Mickey, the sacrificial lamb of this game. He has been consistently the target, but to be fair, I think he's the only player that BDS can really kill.
Yeah.
Marcoon has 6 kills at this point. And yeah, you could argue that Mickey's positioning here a little bit questionable. Good pick and response from BDS, but Marcoon was in the vicinity to make the counterplay happen. Nukeduck pushes in mid, makes the rotation up top. And Marcoon's just barely able to survive, able to get the outplay, and then you can see Nukeduck cleaning up the back end of the fight here. They choose not to commit to the tower. Bot wave got pushed in. I believe the tower dropped as well. XL basically just getting everything across the map.
And although BDS are still looking for plays, it really feels like XL have them playing to the beat of their drum right now. Finn coming in, Aggressivo, no flash on him, no Arctic Assault, and the axe will fell him. Timber for Sejuani. She falls for the second time this game. Nukeduck's going to take the last remaining tier 1. Rift Hell put down in the bottom side as Marcoon's going to press forward here. And every single lane is pushing in XL's favor.
Yeah, it's a one-sided stomp here from XL. Kind of what we expected coming into the matchup. You have one of the top of the table teams competing against the bottom, and XL reaffirming their dominance here in the league. They did struggle yesterday against Rogue, as we talked about. It was a bit of a back and forth in terms of who could throw harder to who. And we have a big pack of teams at 4-2 today. And I expect that to expand to 5-2 as our top teams in Europe continue to assert their dominance over everyone else.
I agree with that. It'll be interesting to see some of the matchups later to see exactly how it balances out, because of course G2 play up against Fnatic. We'll only have one of those teams being able to climb to the giddy heights that are 5-2, but a very close battle in our top 5, top 6 positions right now. BDS still struggling to really make their mark on summer. I think sitting at 1-5.
Yeah, the mid jungle definitely has struggled early on in this game. Nukeduck, truth be told, even though he was losing in the push, he was still ahead in farm. And that early gank, well, I say gank, the early invade, I suppose I should say, from Synkrov, ended up getting punished pretty hard from the collapse that came down from Mickey. It just feels like the XL is just so much more responsive when it comes to whatever action is happening on the map. And then in the downtime, they control the space very well. They have good vision control around the mid and bot side of the jungle. You can see that as they secure Drake, Finn is also pushing in the bot wave. Nukeduck is securing the top side camps, which means that, hey, there might be a risk of these, counter jungling happening from BDS. Nope, can't happen. Nukeduck's going to catch this wave. He can then go back to the Gromp if he wants to.
I'm sorry, that's such a mid-laner's way of describing it. He wanted blue buff, so he took it for the cooldown reduction, and the man is like, no, he's securing the top side to make sure that XL don't lose out on the top side.
Okay, I'm bringing up the minimap. Here's the minimap. Here we go. Here's some science for you. Right, so normally how cross maps work is if you have control.
Okay, so the minimap's totally frozen.
Okay.
So let's maybe...
Have I broken it? I broke it. Oh no. We have a giant mini-map.
It's what you get for trying to excuse
production. Oh, I'm sorry. What if I press end process? I fixed it. I fixed it. You're welcome, production. Don't mind me. Thank you, fans.
This is why you should never learn science.
It's... I feel... Hang on.
Kingsbatty's dead.
Yes.
Nukeduck holds the frozen tomb. He'll be able to survive.
Science.
Seismic shove was already used. Get scienced by the big ice witch. Oh, Glacial Tomb's going to come out there as Mickey has to flash away. Chased in by BDS, but they can't really find any much more out of it. And Marcoon and XL are still able to push in these side lanes, and Nukeduck still strong enough to control mid lane by himself.
XL's just chilling. They really are just chilling.
Because they have Alessandra?
Yeah, that was the pun. I was hoping you'd notice, but then you brought attention to it, and you basically explained the joke.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying here?
Isn't comedy better when you have to explain it? Cyclone goes in, Nuclear Int's going to get good seismic shove there. Counter engage though. Nukeduck forward. Marcoon goes godlike 7-0-2 now. The man has as many assists as BDS has kills in this game.
Yep. That was, well, not very nice from XL, but had to be done. Had to be done. The jungle belongs to the Monkey King, and Marcoon will not allow you to enter in his territory. Off the back of that, he will convert it into a Baron. There's no smite available on the side of BDS and XL. They're looking to end this one quick. They have control across the entire map. It has been their dominance from start to finish. As we mentioned earlier, Mickey the only one to die on the side of XL. And even after the relentless ganks that have been thrown towards Patrick, he was always the one walking to safety.
You can see the jungle canyon as well for Marcoon. 5,000 gold ahead just in that role. He is having a storm of a game. Black Cleaver second. had the Hex Drinker earlier just to give himself a little bit more tankiness in some of those initial trades. Can, of course, go to the Maw as well if he wants. A relatively strong item these days alongside Death's Dance. But I wonder if we'll even get to third item Wukong stage, or whether we'll start to see with this Baron push, XL totally wrest this game out of BDS's hands. It's just a 2-lane push. BDS trying to answer down towards the bottom side. There are bounties available for them, so they can get a little bit of gold, but it's, yeah, not really a sizable enough sum for them ever to find a way back into this matchup through those bounties. They don't even get the tower, so didn't even capitalize on that small coupon that they could have had.
It would take an egregious error on XL's part for them to lose this game at this point. With this type of lead, well, just with this type of lead, it doesn't really matter what their comp is.
I've seen G2 lose from this position before, though.
Yeah. G2's the anomaly, okay?
Very true. Syncroft goes in, Marcoon there with the decoy, Aggressivo looking for something as well. SXL just back away. They know they're in a 4v5 situation right now because Finn is pushing in this top lane. BDS will answer that. They did a good job actually of clearing out the wave, which means XL don't have 2 waves pushing at the same time, and because they pushed out bot lane, that wave's nowhere near getting towards the inhibitor tower. So BDS able to hold on for a little bit longer here, but still, with the wave pushing in, Aggressivo going forward, cleanse away by Patrick, and the turnaround with the culling. It's just so much damage from Nuke Duck. He lives up to his names and absolutely atomizes them. BDS destroyed in their own base. No way you can stand against the might of XL.
4 members dead on BDS mean that XL have a clear path to the Nexus. Only 2 towers stand in their way and they won't stand for long.
And it seems for XL yesterday was butter blip. Back to winning ways, 5-2.
Straightforward, clean game from start to finish from XL. Very little to say. Just dominance across the board. A great end to their week 3. And an impressive performance, especially from Marcoon. Really able to find a lot of the early picks. The mid-jungle working very well together once again. And yeah, now they find themselves 5-2 already. Great way to end week 3. And in a commanding position to already have a good pathway towards playoffs.
I mean, we're just over a third of the way through the split, and they already have more than half of the wins that they had in split.
Who'd have thought? Not me.
Not me.
Not me.
Not me.
XL. Look at how far they've come, eh?
Look at them.
Look at them.
No one's going to get that right.
Huge credit, of course, to XL. What's really interesting, as I make this about me for a second.
Okay, yeah.
On the Euphoria podcast, we had a bet as to who would be top 3 after the first 3 weeks.
Yamato put XL in because he
we all put Fnatic
Yeah, because
Rogue.
you're biased towards...
So we all put Fnatic Rogue, because Rogue is the safe bet typically during regular season.
Sure.
But it's Fnatic Rogue XL is what Yamato had.
Yeah.
I had Fnatic Rogue Mad.
Okay.
And then Cadrel had Fnatic Rogue G2. Now what's really interesting is all of those teams are in our top 5.
Yeah, I mean, so it just shows you're good analysts, right? First thing. Secondly, I think we can get 4 of them. So you could, but how does that work?
But we could have a winner then, because assuming that Fnatic and Rogue get into the top 3, right?
But if then XL and Mad are there, who wins? You have a loser.
We have a loser.
But you don't have a winner.
And that would be Cadrel.
Yeah.
All right, I guess I'm a Fnatic fan today.
Apparently so.
Can vote for your key player of the game. Of course, Marcoon, Nuke Duck, and Mickey. Pretty viable options. Don't give it to Mickey, though. He was the only one that died on XL.
But Mickey's flash into Tycaller's Blessing, into Ebb and Flow is what got Marcoon the first kill, and that's what's
time for an interview with Nuke Duck. Take it away, Lot.
Give it to Mickey.
Thank you. Nuke Duck, thank you for joining me. Also, congrats on bouncing back from the game you had yesterday. Quick thoughts on the Talia pick, because it's the first time we see the champion. What do you think of this pick in this specific situation, but also the champion as it is, since it was reworked?
I think Talia is strong if you can manage to survive early game, because our early game is super weak. So it's just like you pick it and hope that you get through early game.
Right. It didn't work so well here in the game. But talking more about you went for Lissandra here again, and we mentioned that you go more for the push and roam approach here with XL. Why do you feel it's the play style to go with this team and your teammates?
For me, it's, I mean, of course my teammates play well, and like last split, we thought the meta was more, farming, so that's what I was doing. But it just turned out the MSI meta was really push and roam, And then we just adapted to that, and it feels good to play. And overall, I think it's better than like trying to farm up on something. Like it's more fun. Like we try to play early game instead of just farming up. So I don't know, it helps. Of course, teammates benefit from it, but also it's I just think it's strong.
How much do you think we evolved as a player? You've been playing for so long, right, in the LCS and in the LEC recently. But yeah, playing with these players, given that everything is going so well for Excel, how much do you think you grew with the team?
How much what?
Do you think you grew with the team?
Grew with the team?
Yeah.
I think we're getting on the same page. I think like boot camping together was good. And of course, I play with Mark now. This is the third split. So I know kind of, how he wants to play and what he wants to do. So I understand him well, so I guess, yeah. And so I played with him for a while, so I guess, yeah, we keep getting better together.
You mentioned the boot camp, and it's something we also mentioned a lot for Excel, but what did it bring you as you inexperienced players? I mean, I'm just wondering, what can you learn from this type of experience, given the years you've been playing?
I learned a bit more about like how they play, like Asian teams play in mid lane. And I think like the way European players play mid lane is very different. I think in EU, mid laners will like let their team die or give up Herald for 2 CS, whereas in Asia they always try to push and help the team. And I just think it's like better to play like that.
Another huge focus point for Excel, I think, has to be Markoon, who got the key player of the game here, of course. But what do you think sets him apart from other junglers in the LEC?
I think Mark has many strengths, but what shows the most is that he is like willing to kind of like be the carry of the team, and that's so. And we let him do that, and he also knows how to play that style. And I think not many teams and junglers are comfortable with that. So I think that's what like sets him apart from the others.
All right, and talking about Excel in general, I think you're solidifying your position as one of the top teams in the LEC right now. But what do you think should be improved or could be improved for Excel in the coming weeks?
I think we just need to stay focused because I think we play well, but for example, yesterday against Rogue, I think we completely just like dropped focus, and that's why we just like threw the game. So I think we need to work on like, containing ourselves, not always playing aggressive, and take every game seriously. A
lose can be a good reminder sometimes, even for a good team. Nugdog, thank you so much for the interview. Congrats on taking down BDS today.
Thank you.
And we're going to take a short break. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. SK Gaming Rogue coming up next.
Even the biggest champ needs a break.
For those who watch, for those who move, for those who play.
Look at the smite, he's done this before.
Now it's your turn to move to the big stage and play the match of your life.
Kia, movement that inspires.
This or that with Upset. Blue buff or red buff.
Red buff.
Ocean Drake or Mountain Drake.
Mountain.
Playing versus Korea or playing versus China.
Korea.
Losing lane or having a losing jungler.
Losing lane.